Have you ever heard of or actually watched a full moon lunar eclipse?
Hi, doctor, have you ever seen an eclipse?
Or wonder why it turns red during all of this? Well, stick around because I'm going to break down the science behind the blood moon, as well as show and tell you how you're able to see if the eclipse is going to be visible from your location. And I may even throw some photography tips and tricks in there to help get you started on some composition for the blood moon when it comes up. Stay tuned. Don't click that mouse. What's up guys, Snyderman here with the Casual Photoholic, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the full moon lunar eclipse, not to be confused with a solar eclipse. You're able to view the lunar eclipse with the naked eye, so don't be going out and staring into the sun.
You know, if you stare at it head on, it'll burn your eyes out.
So in the video, we're going to be breaking down the science behind the blood moon, why the moon turns red, what happens during this whole process of the lunar eclipse. Then we'll get into a few of the websites and apps that I like to use when I'm planning to view these events. It'll help you to figure out whether the lunar eclipse is going to be visible in your area, as well as give you the full breakdown on the times and what time that everything's going to be happening. It's really cool. So stick around for that. And then I'm going to show you a few photography tricks that I like to use when I'm photographing the events that might help you to get the juices flowing and help you decide on some compositions for the upcoming lunar blood moon. As we get into this discussion, if you're finding value in this content, please do me a favor and be sure to hit the like button. It'll help others find this content that might be interested in these eclipses, and it helps the page out as well, and I really appreciate it. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Whenever you look up at a full moon, you're seeing the sunlight that's reflecting off the lunar surface. So if something were to block that sunlight, like when the Earth moves in front of it for an eclipse, in theory the moon should really disappear. But what happens during the lunar eclipse is the moon actually turns red. So there's three types of lunar eclipses, but today we're going to be talking about the total lunar eclipse. So when the sun, the moon, and the earth are in perfect alignment, and the moon falls within the earth's umbral shadow, the total lunar eclipse is the most striking of the three eclipses because it turns the moon red. So the moon appears red for the same reasons that sunrises and sunsets appear red on Earth. And it's due to a phenomenon called Rayleigh's scattering. So why wouldn't there be an eclipse every month? Well, that's because the moon's orbit is tilted a few degrees in relation to the Earth. So the Earth, moon, and the sun don't always align. When the Earth does eclipse the sun, it casts two types of shadows on the moon. A larger shadow known as the penumbra, and a smaller, darker shadow known as the umbra. So while shorter blue wavelengths of light are scattered outward by the Earth's atmosphere, longer red wavelength lights are refracted or bent around the Earth, which causes the red effect on the moon. The brightness of the moon's red glow will depend on how much dust and dirt are in the Earth's atmosphere. So now that the science lesson is over, we should have all at least learned one thing.
We all know that the moon is not made of green cheese.
Which leads me to the question of...
But what if it were made of barbecue spare ribs? Would you eat it then? Would you eat the moon if it were made of ribs?
Okay, so now let's head on over and jump onto the computer and let me show you the quickest way to find out all of the details you need to know about finding the eclipse in your area. Let's get to it.
Okay, so let's jump right on in here and go to timeanddate.com. Time and date. I will put the link to this website. I will put it in the description, maybe in the comments down below so that you can find it. Once this site loads up, it should detect your current location. If it doesn't, you can actually set your home location here on the home page. But once we get to this home page, you're going to want to go to sun and moon and down to eclipses. And then this is going to give you a breakdown of all of the eclipses that are coming up. This next one here is going to be tomorrow morning. A little late getting this video out, but the next one's going to be tomorrow morning that I'm going to be shooting. And what we can do is you can actually see these interactive maps. They got everything here that you can think of that you can click on to find it. So what we'll do is we'll click on the one for tomorrow. And this shows you a detailed map of what you can, basically who can see it and who can't. You've got basically the darker the colors are, the more that you can see of it. As far as, so basically on the west coast here of the United States, you'll get to see the full cycle of it going through the full blood moon and then coming back out of that stage and back to a full moon. For us here on the East Coast, basically you'll get to see it right up until probably around daylight when the sunset comes up. Sunrise comes up. I'll get to that in just a second because we're going to go into that. So all the interactive stuff that we got here that you can look at, this is really cool because it actually breaks down the time. If you maximize it, it shows you the full cycle that you see starting at 3 a.m. and you're just going to scroll through. Actually, I think this isn't for the Myrtle Beach area. So what we're going to do is we come up here and go back to the eclipses. And then what you'll want to do is you're going to want to put your location or zip code in here. We'll just select Myrtle Beach. So now it's got everything that you can see. It gives you the full breakdown of what's going to happen, when, what's going to be going on during that phase, and tells you everything about it. This interactive map that I was going to show on before, you can use I guess they call it a timeline or progress bar. So you can use that down here to scrub through, but you can see at 3 o'clock where it's going to be. And as we move forward and scrub through, you'll see that the penumbra is moving over. And then around 4 o'clock, the umbra is going to come in. And then right around 5 o'clock, you're going to see the full blood moon. And then actually, as it's coming out of the totality phase, and you scrub to the right here, you'll see that as soon as it starts to change back and you scrub forward, the moon drops. So basically it's going to drop below the horizon right after the full blood moon phase. So if you back out, you can kind of see the times here. It'll show you up top in the corner there. As you're scrubbing through, it tells you the times up here as you're scrubbing through. So it kind of shows you exactly what's going on and when, and then it shows you dropping down. That's going to be probably around, I think sunrise is around 6:47, and I think the moon set is around 6:41, right about the same time, or maybe sunrise is 6:41, moon set is 6:47. But basically, it's almost simultaneous sunrise and the moon set. So you're going to want to make sure that you get all of your pictures in before the daylight starts moving in on you. So lots of good tidbits on this website, very user-friendly interface. So you can come in here, you can find out if you're going to be able to see the eclipse. You're going to have the full breakdown and lots of interactive tools to use. It'll tell you everything you need to know. I hope this has been useful. Okay, so now for the photography tips that I had promised, and here I am delivering. So first thing you're going to want is you're going to want an unobstructed view of the lunar eclipse. So you want to make sure that you're not in the trees or buried in the houses. Make sure that you've got a nice open area that you're able to see the full eclipse and take full advantage of it. Second thing you're going to want is a tripod. Tripod is very crucial when it comes to taking still images in the night. Because of the long exposure times, you're going to want to put it on a tripod to steady it. Whether you have it directly on a tripod, or here's the bonus, this is hopefully the focus is right, Skywatch Star Adventurer. Okay, and all it is, it's a device that, back here, it's a device that you can actually put on a tripod and then put your camera on it. And what it does is once you line everything up correctly, you can point your camera at the object that you're going to be photographing, turn this thing on, and it follows it across the skies. This is great for shooting the moon. If you have a solar eclipse that we've got one coming up in 2024, all the right equipment, this would help you photograph and follow that. This is also great for Milky Way and night sky stuff and tracking nebulas. The good thing about this product is you can buy this separately and you don't have to go and invest in a telescope and all that other fancy stuff that comes along with it. You can actually use your camera equipment on this device, what you already have. So put your camera, put your long lens on, put this thing on it and just set it and let it go. Third thing that you're going to want is you're going to want a remote trigger release. This will reduce the camera shake as well along with the tripod, so you're not having to touch your camera every time that you go to hit the shutter button. So make sure you have an unobstructed view, put your camera on a tripod and get you a remote shutter release and have fun with this composition. I'm going to throw in a fourth tip for you. Shooting wide or long, if you're kind of torn between those two, think of it as you're shooting wide and you're going to be using a wide angle lens. You're going to have all of that foreground area in the picture, but the moon is going to be very small in the picture. With this blood moon, you don't want to leave that blood moon and all the detail and all the colors and all of that changing as a little small moon in your frame. Go long. Use a long lens, get up close to it, make sure that you're getting a nice shot, getting all the detail in there. My suggestion would be is to find an object or structure that's pleasing, that's way in the distance, you know, a mile away, depending on how long your lens is. Find something that you can actually get in the distance to put the moon in the picture with, that will actually give you the compression effect to make the moon look larger. And I would do that technique. Long lens, something in the distance, depending on, that's if you got a shot on the horizon. For everybody here on the East Coast, it looks like for this one coming up, the blood moon is going to be setting just as the sun's coming up, so it's going to be very low on the horizon at full effect. So that would be my tip as far as getting the photography set up. So I hope all of those tips seem to help you get your stuff together and get the juices flowing and help you get out and get some pictures taken. So I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. Hopefully you know more about the full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipses. Hopefully you know how to use those techniques to find out if the eclipse is going to be visible in your location. I'll put the link to that website in the description, maybe in the contents, one or the other. It'll be down there below. And hopefully that these tips have helped you get your juices flowing and that you've got some ideas of what you're going to do when you get out to shoot this eclipse. As always, thank you guys for watching, and if you found value in this video, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, thumbs up on this video. It really helps the channel out and I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate it. Thanks.